Hello everybody, just really quickly before we begin, if you want to check out this video in the original way that I intended it straight from my brain, you can check it out over on Patreon. Patreon is just a way that people can support me on the channel and I can give back to them with longer form edited content that's a little bit better than what you can see here on YouTube. If you're interested in checking it out, then the link will be downstairs. As always, enjoy the video.
Is it everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out. But man, you can't deny that view.
The Last of Us on HBO has done what I once thought to be impossible. Faithfully adapt a video game story to the screen in a one-to-one adaptation and succeed in doing so. This show meticulously adapts and translates every important story beat from the game, makes changes not only to make the story flow better in the shorter time frame, but also makes ones that take advantage of the medium of television, all while casting the perfect actors in each role to deliver some of the most heartbreaking, meticulously written dialogue I have ever had the pleasure of watching. And through the entire season, the entire story of The Last of Us Part 1, if you will, it maintains the heart and soul of the original work. If you clicked on this video just to see if I recommend the show before you start watching it, go do so. But I will say, be warned. This is a very intense story that will make you shudder, cry, question, rejoice, and contemplate. By the end, you will more than likely be a little bit numb. Back when I made my little 3-episode recap of the show, I said, we are now 3 episodes into The Last of Us, and I can tell you it's well on its way to being one of the best television shows of all time. Now as the season finale has wrapped, I stand by that statement. Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann have constructed one of, if not the best single seasons of television ever created, period. If you are a fan of television, you are actively doing yourself a disservice not to watch this show. Now, why did this show succeed and how in the hell did this work? This show laughs at the mistakes of every other big budget attempt at an adaptation and avoids all 3 major pitfalls that are usually brought about by studio meddling. Not letting a story be boring, cash grab familiarity, bringing the show to a new audience. This is not a story about zombies. This is not a story about spectacle and about blowing things up. This is a story about love. About how much it can break a person when they lose what they love most. About finding that love again, whether it be romantic, friendly, or familial love, and about how far somebody is willing to go for someone that they love. The things that they will do to protect them, and how a lie can change everything. This show made the conscious decision to have less action set pieces in order to make more room for Joel and Ellie to spend time together to build their surrogate father-daughter relationship. I've already touched on this before, but this show allows us to have down moments. Mellow moments in between the horrific that build the relationship between Ellie and Joel in a natural, organic way. Without scenes like hiding in the bar in episode 4, the campfire scene in episode 6, or allowing the finale to build the exact same way as the game does, the relationship between the two wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't be Ellie and Joel. Some people have complained that there aren't enough infected in the show, and I, for one, am so glad that they held back and focused on the heart of the story and allowed it to be boring. Now, when I say a cash grab familiarity, I mean a show or movie that is just kind of slapped together and hoping to get by on the nostalgia of fans of the original work, rather than actually trying to make a good product. I was blown away by the subtlety and nuance of the cinematography and acting in this show. It's a show that I will probably rewatch multiple times just to catch everything. Everything is framed so beautifully and almost poetically, as if there was no other way to frame that shot or scene other than the way that they did it. I'm not really a cinematography guy, and I don't really talk about that world mainly because I know nothing of it. But I can tell when somebody has poured their heart and soul into something as much as Eben Bolter, Ksenia Sorenda, Nadim Carlson, and Christine A. Mayer did. Every frame tells its own story, and that's just the tip of the iceberg here when it comes to the production value that this show has. And when it comes to the idea of we are bringing the story to a new audience, whenever I hear a writing team utter that phrase, I know it only means one thing. We know better and want to write our own story. This show spits on that idea. Many of the scenes, hell, even the lines, are a direct pull from the game.
Is this really all they had to worry about?
Boys, movies, deciding which shirt goes with which skirt.
It's bizarre.
He knows the area better than I do.
Do you
and-
give a shit about me or not?
Of course I do.
Then what are you so afraid of?
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah and...
No. Don't say another word.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everybody I have cared for has either died or left me. Everybody!
Fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else.
Because the truth is, I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter.
And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
We are going our separate ways.
It's staggering the level of commitment and faith the team had in Pedro and Bella to pull this off. Which brings me to my final point as to why this show worked. All of those things are great. It's awesome that the showrunners avoided all of the major mistakes, but the reason why this show not only isn't terrible, but a masterpiece of television is that Pedro and Bella are Joel and Ellie. It's not just Pedro as Joel and Bella as Ellie. They just are them. Which, after Troy and Ashley brought so much to the roles, I never thought possible. And somehow they did it. And the singular thing that broke me, the moment that shattered any preconceptions about how the show would be, on whether it'd be good or not, the one grounding moment that is, in my opinion, the most important moment in the story is one line.
Come on. Come on, get up. Come on, baby girl. Come on. It's okay, baby girl. I got you. I got you.
He embodies Joel in a way that I didn't think possible for this show. There are moments that I can point to throughout the season that are examples of either incredible directing decisions or insane acting prowess that cement this as one of the best acting performances, period. From looking at his broken watch when he looks at Ellie in episode 2, to the perfect rendition of his confrontation with Ellie in episode 6, breaking down in front of Tommy, and not to mention how they filmed the final fight where the music overpowers what's happening as Joel stone-faced murders countless people to get to Ellie to save her life. Everything about Pedro's Joel is perfect. And Bella? I'll be honest, episodes 1 through 3, I wasn't fully convinced. But by the end of episode 4, she started coming more and more into the role of Ellie. And by the end, She perfectly encapsulated everything about the character and is just perfect. She brings a joy and confidence to the character that is only broken by the horrific events brought about by David. Her learning to trust Joel and helping him heal from his trauma, only for him to help her in return, is just everything. There is so much that was wonderfully done here that I haven't even mentioned. The more nuance that was brought to the relationship between Tommy and Joel, the dynamic of Henry and Sam, how they kept certain gameplay situations from the game and used them in the show as little Easter eggs. I can't cover it all, and I can't praise this show enough for what it accomplished. This is a show that was so lovingly crafted from its early development stage, its production, writing, and near perfect acting. It avoids any and all pitfalls that have plagued not just video game adaptations, but adaptations in general for decades. And it brings us one of the best stories ever told. A story about love. And honestly, it's everything I could have hoped for.
So, is it everything you hoped for?
It's got its ups and downs. You can't deny that view.
Special thank you to Brandon Roy, Gabe Helmuth, Ian Etzep, Mafnar, and Mustafa Frond for helping make this video possible by all pledging at the executive level on Patreon. If you want to check out the Patreon, the link will be downstairs.